All right, thank you for joining me. Silat class on the 22nd of April. We'll bow it in again, as we always do, acknowledging all the martial arts from all over the world that influence me, regardless of the subject area we're studying. So Chinese, Filipino, Thai, Indonesian, French and Dog Brothers, Japanese, okay? We spent a lot, like the majority of our last class in the ground domain. And I really want to get a nice balance for you. So, I have these here. So what I'll do, and again, I'm really only laying these out to illustrate the idea of the footwork. Don't feel like there's any pressure for you to grab your own sticks. I'm just illustrating what we're doing here. So Guyang 1 is we're starting neutral, even with this stick. And this is our attack or our offensive tee. Touching the knees is a little bit more Indonesian, because we've talked about this before. The Indonesians had to hide their art from the Dutch, right? Because the penalty when they were colonized was death. So they made their art look like a dance, hiding the lethality of their art. So keep that going. That's Guyang 1. I'll rejoin you. Just want to hands stay up. Fists are fine. Open hands are fine. Just keep your hands up. Or again, you can just slide the foot in. That would still technically be Guyang 1. Okay? All right. Guyang 2, we are going to reverse that. So it's the retreating tee. My feet are even with the stick in the front, and I'm stepping back, okay? I know you're losing my foot a little bit. Let me raise that just slightly. Okay, so going back. So it's the defensive tee or the retreating tee. Keep that going. I'll rejoin you. Okay, and then it's off this Guyang that we're going to have kicking, which we're going to work in a particular way. All right, so the way that we'll just look at 3 kicks very quickly, and then one more piece of footwork, and then I want to get to the stand-up right away this week so that you have some time to work on this. If we do Guyang 2 and we do 3 reps, and we start with our right leg. 1, right leg. Switch 2, left leg is back. Switch 3, right leg is back and freeze. When I say go, throw a right roundhouse kick and then land with your feet in the original starting position. Go. Roundhouse. And I land in neutral posture. Left leg goes back, 1. With Guyang 2. Switch. Right leg is back. And 3. Left leg is back and freeze. When I say go, roundhouse kick and then land in neutral posture. Go. Fantastic. Right leg goes back again. 1. Switch 2. Switch 3. This time when I say go, same exact thing, but throw a side kick. Go. Left leg goes back. 1. Switch 2. Switch 3. Go. Side kick. Nice. Right leg back. 1. We're going to do this with one more kick. 2, 3. This time it's an inward crescent kick, and we land even. Beautiful. Left leg goes back. 1, switch. 2, switch. 3, left inward crescent kick, and we land even. Okay, excellent. So we'll do this in the air for those who are by themselves, and I'll do this with a partner. So Southeast Asian hands, we have 5 different ways of dealing with somebody in the orthodox lead throwing their jab. So we're also going to be in a left lead. First variation, right hand slides. So I'll do it with Gene in a second here. Slides over. It's a sliding leverage attack into the sungab, usually towards the eyes or throat. So slide is the first way. Split, right hand puts a lid on it, left hand attacks. And we want to move our head a little bit offline too. Here, okay? So slide and split. This is standardized. If you're in a left lead and the other person is right-handed and they're in an orthodox lead, and we're learning in the first level some kind of Southeast Asian methodologies for dealing with the jab. We want to standardize this particular way and these sides of doing it. So we slide with the right hand. We split by putting a lid on it with the right hand and attacking with the left. Now, I like the sungab towards the eyes or the throat. You could also punch. My background, it feels a little weird to do a Western palm down punch. I would probably go vertical fist, but then you're starting to get into kind of Wing Chun territory. But guess what? There's not a lot of difference. Sorry to offend anybody, but that's just true. Okay, so usually when I split, I think about like a sungab towards the eyes. All right, so that's our split. Our siko, our lead hand, so that's our left hand, guides the punch into our rear elbow. Here. That's the siko. In the air, I mean, it's good if you're training by yourself, but it's also nice, I'll do it for you in a moment to actually see the application. So right hand slide, right hand puts a lid on it, left hand attacks, split, left hand guides it into the right elbow, siko. Okay. Vertical gunting. You can drop your lead hand just a little bit, like probably not down here, but you can drop it just a little bit. Right hand parries, left hand comes up, and I'm looking to just mouse the crazy bone, okay? Here, as much as possible, I want that to be 1 beat. Here, okay? That's vertical gunting. Right hand parries, left hand mouses. So we have right hand slides, right hand checks, left hand attacks, split. Left hand guides it into the right elbow, siko. Right hand parries, left hand mouses, vertical gunting. And then a slight variation on vertical gunting, parry with the right, left hand lays over top. Okay, and keep in mind, like so much of martial arts, you're not gonna stand there all day admiring your work. This is a split second until you're moving into the next movement. But sometimes, like even the siko, we're not going to stand there all day long. Oh, elbows are so cool. Destructions are so cool. But you have to kind of freeze that moment to understand it. So slide, split, siko, vertical gunting, diagonal gunting. All right. And, I'll say this super briefly. When a lot of this was just the Panantukan section or the Dumog section of my Filipino martial arts curriculum, because there is crossover there, it's just a reality. 5 variations like that. I would teach all 5 of those, say, every 3 or 4 months if we had extra time. You know, it's, oh, here's some other things that we can do. But by splitting them into different curricular areas, we actually get the time to go over them. So application, in just a minute, slide. Sorry, let's do it in the air. Split, Seco, vertical gunting, diagonal gunting. Okay, and I will admit, total, my preference is the split entry. Okay, I fight with it, I spar with it. It appears in multiple different arts that I train and teach. That's my preference. Okay, so Gene's gonna come in. We're both in an orthodox, left side in front, left lead. These are all, I'm so sorry, can you take that off? These are all against her jab, right? The left straight punch. So nice and super slow. Slide, split, Seco, vertical gunting, diagonal gunting, okay? And without slapping my wife's arms around too badly, the slide and the split are fairly, the implications are fairly understandable even with a slow demo. Like, boom, it's there, right? And then the next split second, hopefully, you know, unless she's playing the part of somebody on like mind-altering drugs, really not even mind-altering, like PCP is the usual kind of thing. Unless it's that Sungab into a primary target is going to draw a reaction, right? 99.9% of people. It's the other 0.1. We don't want to fight those people, even if it is something like PCP. Okay, the split. I want to get in the habit of moving my head offline. Like, I mean, no ego. I have pretty fast hands, but still, this slow motion. This is bad practice because I'm really betting the health of my face on my hand speed, right? Because right now her fist is lined up with my face, right? And she's wearing her ring. So it's bad. It's bad news. Versus here, okay, sorry. Okay, that's more where I want to be. I want that slap, sorry, okay? Most people who don't have our background in our lineage, like getting the arms all slapped up, is, if you're not used to that, that's gonna be discombobulating. And then along with that, getting in the habit of zoning to the outside, slow motion, just like you would slip a punch, right? So maybe not that deep, but we want both of those ideas. And again, I'm teaching right now, I'm demoing. You're not going to stand there all day admiring, oh, split entry is so cool. That's a frozen moment in time until we transition. The Seco is really hard to, because like a fast jab, what you're just trying to do is literally that, like redirect it. You're never going to slow motion, like that's maybe the way that we explain it, but in reality it's like, send that, take the trajectory it already had, boom, and just make sure they go full bore with what, like all the intent that they had to deliver to your face, boom, inadvertently on the elbow. Be very careful when you train that one, because it's, again, one of the most dense collections of small breakable bones in your whole body. So be very careful. So in reality, Seco's like that. Some systems and some instructors will just try to get lucky, okay? just that pat, like that type of motion, that's really, what you're trying to do, okay? Even like it's nasty, all right? So be very careful. That's a Seiko. Vertical gunting is really there, like one beat, boom, and then, or boom, I'm entering, right? But for learning purposes, that's where it's at. And that has to be, even at like 30% of your full power, that has to be felt to be appreciated, all right? It's that nerve cluster right there that's just no fun to have that moused with the top of your knuckles, which is what you're doing, okay? Without slapping her arms up too much, that's really the intention, that's really the intent behind diagonal gunting. They had a straight line on you, like if I'm jabbing you, and they end up over here. They're probably not going to freeze this out, so they have to come almost over their own shoulder line if they want to throw that rear hand. That's really more what that's about. It's about displacing the person. It's not going to really do much damage. It's going to take them offline. Okay, so again, slow, slide, split, Seiko, vertical gunting, diagonal gunting. And we want to start understanding then how we use these to get into our basic throws, which I want to go over, but I want to make sure I don't hurt you. Okay, so I'm going to put Jean over here, and we'll move as far away from camera as we can. So the first level, jab me, same thing. I choose one of those into this straight arm bar. Here's my beset, knee, and I step in to take that far foot. We're going to come a little bit closer so that I don't knock Jean into the keyboard over there, right about here. Okay, and this time I'll put a little more emphasis on the legs. I'm choosing a split into this straight arm bar. Notice that when I dropped her down into the straight arm bar, I ended up in front of her. So not this. Oops. With your foot, you're never going to have time. I step in front of her. My right leg sweeps back. I'm going to lose a beat going to get her far foot, so I simulate a knee to the face. Okay? I'm here. I would sweep this out and continue the takedown, but that beset or silhig or leg sweep in front of the body is technique one. Okay? So all of that buildup, all of the upper body dynamics, what we're really talking about is, for technique one, is this movement. Leg sweep in front of the body. Okay, and my basics, I have for the most part taken from the order from a particular series from Moffalindo, from Guru and Asanto. But leg sweep, however I got there, leg sweep in front of the body, okay, is number one. Okay. Number two, I'll start so you can see the work on the high line. Now, number two, I use a diagonal gunting, but I actually do a diagonal gunting into the anchor, because you have to anchor either under the armpit or on the hip to make number two work. So here, Or sometimes here. This is my hip anchor. This is under the armpit, okay? So the actual technique, though, that we're focused on for number 2, look at my feet, inside foot sweep, okay? I cannot get that unless she's anchored. If I enter, that was a split entry, and I just push in, don't give it to me. I can't get it because she has her balance, or she's beautiful, or she's going to step right out. But even just her having her body weight evenly balanced versus that adjustment, okay? She has the weight is gone off that foot. So I tend to diagonal gunting straight into my anchor, either under the armpit or on the hip. Makes that foot very light. So technique 2 is the inside foot sweep, the inside foot sweep. Technique 1, leg sweep in front of the body. Technique 2, inside foot sweep. So don't go forward, but I'll bring you back in 1 second, okay? So if you're by yourself, which many of you are, get in a left lead. Choose whichever one of those feels good. But imagine your left hand grabs the wrist, your right forearm is bracing for that straight arm bar. You step in front of the body with your right side as you break that person's balance. Stay right where you're at. I'm just going to change the angle. So I'm holding that straight arm bar. I'm in front of the person. My right foot or leg sweeps their leg back. And instead of just straight losing the next beat, my right leg, I knee them in the face as I step in deep to take the far foot. Now you would sweep towards your left side. They're going to drop. You can step on the ankle with the left foot. And if they sit up, you can slam the back of their head into your right knee. Okay, so I'm trying, because many of you are without a training partner, which is fine. It's part of this whole thing. And I have so many instructor friends, we keep talking about this, is to make sure that everybody who's using technology to train, that you get to train. No matter what, if you're by yourself or you have a partner or what. So choose your response to the jab. Left hand grabs the wrist, right forearm really, takes that straight arm bar, and you step in front with the right foot. Stay where you're at, change the angle. You're doing that leg sweep straight back with the right leg, kneeing their face, stepping in, and then sweeping to complete the first technique. Second technique, the jab's coming in, this time I'm just going to standardize it, okay? You parry with your right hand, and you step in and kind of brace under their armpit with your left forearm. And you step in with your left foot as you do that. Now from here, your left foot just sweeps, and your right foot collapses the back of their leg. That's going to be for technique 2. Because again, technique 2 is inside foot sweep. So if I'm in a left lead, I parry with I know my hand's out of frame. I'll lower it so you can see it, right? But imagine it's head level. Parry and place and step in with your left foot. Inside foot sweep with the left, collapse with the right. Okay? And once again, with Gene actually here, so let me put you over here actually. This way, and roughly, sorry. Great. Okay, so stepping in, stay right there, sorry. Here's my technique 1, right? The leg sweep back, I knee her in the face as I go and get this foot. And then I would continue that drive and take her right off the base for technique 1. Technique 2, she jabs me. Here's my entry, right? Stay right there. I entered to this position. Right from here, left foot sweep, then my right foot collapses her. If this is somebody that I really want to injure, I keep my right foot on the back of the knee and I grind it basically into dust. Not very nice, but it is what it is. Okay, technique 3, outside foot sweep, but I have a very particular standardized way that I like to get there, okay? You can choose whichever, any one of these will work that we worked on, but sweep this out of the way. Right elbow goes through, right anchor, right knee, and I step in. What I'm really trying to get her to do is step back a little with a right foot to rebalance. That's really what I'm looking for. That compromised, compromised balance position right here. Okay, and I've nicknamed that, I call it shoulder line control. It's my practice whenever there's a really important concept or technique and I'm not taught a name, I'll usually give it a name, okay? And this one, I came up with shoulder line control, and I used it for about a decade in my organization before I realized that Guru Inasanto actually had a term. He calls it lateral control. So at that point, though, it's too late as far as my own teaching. The reason, no matter how I get there, the reason I like shoulder line control is I'm pushing down, there you go, her shoulder. That's literally the line of her shoulder that I'm pushing down to try and get her to in that off balance position. Okay, so without a partner, whatever you want against the jab, right elbow that goes through, right anchor. Now let me focus on my feet. Right knee, step in behind her foot. And I apologize, I wish we had a wider shot. I'm sorry, I have to keep changing angles. Hopefully in the not too distant future, I'll be able to get this all in one shot for you. But notice how all of that plays together, right? Whatever I pick here, I move this out of the way. I'm gonna not do the cover just so you can see what's happening here, but pretend that with this hand, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It elbows and goes through. It anchors on her right shoulder. I knee, and in actuality, I'm gonna knee the groin, but we usually do that up towards the stomach for safety. And I set my foot in as I push, because now she's in the compromised balance position that I'm looking for, okay? And now look at my feet. As I do all of that, I end up with the perfect position for the outside foot sweep. So I went split entry, elbow anchor on the high line. I know you couldn't see any of that. Right knee, because I've got to set this back down, after my knee, I set it in the perfect position. This would be downward diagonal pressure with my right hand, rising upward pressure with my right foot. Outside foot sweep, Sapu Luar. This fall is particularly nasty because you just kind of, boom, meet the earth. Because you're being pushed down on the high line, and then on the low line, you're having your base, which is already compromised, just boom, forcibly removed. So that technique is pretty nasty. I'm going to take 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes to teach the fourth technique, and then I'll wrap up and go into Filipino martial arts. Okay, so what we've had so far: leg sweep in front of the body, inside foot sweep, outside foot sweep. Now technique 4, leg sweep behind the body. So again, my preference, I like the split, but you could do any of these. The visualization. I want to take her knuckles and imagine touching them down on the floor behind her. That's already, before I even involve my legs, that's already going to make things really uncomfortable for her. So let's change sides. So I'm talking about this left hand. I anchor it low, and I imagine touching her knuckles to the ground somewhere around here. As I do that, my left hand lays in place. Stay right here, sorry. And my left foot ends up behind her. So I have all this pressure on the high line. I have this hand, my left hand, which I know is out of frame, cutting, and I'm going to execute that left leg sweep behind her body. Okay. Now, if you have any Aikido, Aikijitsu type of a background, it's got a very Ariminagi clothesline type of energy, this particular throw. And I'll probably end on this, I think, unless anybody has any questions. If you're in, one more time, if you're in the Inasanto methodology, it's more about this position and having the person fall over that leg versus like traditional Penchak Silat Sarah. It's more about really, I'm going to do it in slow motion because I don't want to drop Gene. Boom, focusing on that sweep. Whereas in the Inasanto, this leg is almost incidental and it doesn't move and they fall over it. Traditional Sarah, boom, they want both. They want the upper body anchors and they want the left leg actually doing the beset, which is what they would call it in Indonesian. Okay, so to start to wrap this all up for you, technique 1, leg sweep in front of the body. Technique 2, inside foot sweep. Technique 3, outside foot sweep. And technique 4, leg sweep behind the body. All right? Or I'm not showing off. It was taught to me. I like it. I use it. If you can memorize it, awesome. If you can't remember it in English, that's fine too. If you can't remember it in English and you want to make up your own nicknames for things and that helps you learn it, that's great too. But Beset Dalam, leg sweep in front of the body. Sapu Dalam, inside foot sweep. Sapu Luar, outside foot sweep. And Beset Luar, leg trip or leg sweep behind the body. So those are our basic 4. Last week we spent, there are 6 at the first level. We'll look at 5 and 6 next time. But as I like to say, you know, if you had 90 seconds, or let's say if you had 45 seconds to explain the essence of Wing Chun, just as an example, probably maybe the term Pak Sao and maybe the term Lop Sao would come up, all right? Is that everything there is to know about Wing Chun? Absolutely not. But those are some pretty important techniques. The besets, or the silhigs, the leg sweeps, and the sapus, or the walisks, or the foot sweeps are very much bread and butter techniques in Silat. Are they all there is to know about Silat? Absolutely not. Are they really, really, really important and like seminal techniques? Yes, they are. Okay. I'm a little over time, but any Silat questions? All right, let's bow this class out. Chinese, Filipino, Thai, Indonesian, French and Dog Brothers, Japanese. Thank you very much. I'm going to end this recording.